Do you feel that the General Muhammad, the Buhari, President Buhari, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration's drive towards fighting corruption is one step in the right direction? And what are the practical steps you see that they can use in achieving this?
I think the first is I'm not yet convinced that the general understands how deep corruption is in the country. And I would put this in perspective. Let's look at what the Transparency International says about corruption. And Transparency International is the international watchdog when it comes to issues of corruption. They say 94% of Nigerians say political parties are corrupt. 92% of Nigerians say the police is corrupt. 73% of Nigerians say the legislative is corrupt. 66% of Nigerians say the judiciary is corrupt. Now, these are all the key institutions. More or less, we are saying that 9 out of 10 policemen are corrupt. 7 out of 10 legislators are corrupt. 6 out of 10 judges are corrupt. Now, that is the position we are in at the moment.
Your thoughts on making the analysis on the percentage holdings for different items you were just talking about?
I want us to establish the fact that calling the President General can no longer be a matter of semantics. There was a press release to the fact that he wants to drop that title. So for the sake of this discussion and argument, let's totally drop it in respect to give him the due respect. So moving on now, let's talk about the figures that you're throwing at us now and how we can use those figures to do something for the country.
It's this way. You talked about 3 tiers of governments during today's speech. If you run to the executive tier, Transparency International says 94% of political parties, which is really what the executive government is from, they are corrupt. So within the executive, if you run there for solutions, you'll find corruption there. If you run to the lower or upper chamber, the Senate and the House of Reps, the report from Transparency International as well states that 73% of legislators are corrupt. So will you find a solution there? Your guess is as good as mine. If you then run to the judiciary, the same report says 66% of Nigerians believe, which more or less is 6 out of 10 judges are corrupt. So clearly, trying to solve corruption by running to the executive arm, or running to the legislative arm, or running to the judiciary arm will not produce results. What he has to do is to find ingenious ways to solve corruption. And in reality, you don't just solve corruption, you just kill it. Just as it said, if Nigerians don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigerians. Some of the solutions, ingenious solutions that he can apply to kill corruption, we might not be able to discuss it here because then we open up the strategy and tactics to kill corruption here. But I strongly believe the general does have his team. They have all the figures, and I strongly hope that they are analyzing it in the correct way. But if they are not doing that, then we're in serious problems.
Well, then what do you make of the anti-graft agencies and how they can work together to come up with an economic plan that works for the people of this country?
Okay, thank you. First of all, one of the key appointments that I'm personally looking forward to from President Buhari is the appointment to the EFCC, that's the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. That is going to definitely set the tone into the current government's anti-corruption plan. And of course, a lot of us actually do believe that some of these anti-corruption agencies actually needs to be made in terms of policy reforms to be able to have better efficiency and better allocation of resources. You have ICPC, you have EFCC, and you have quite a number of other agencies that are doing the similar work. So I would personally want to see a situation where you have a single organization being responsible for such activities. And of course, whoever is named to head such a committee, head that commission, is going to determine the direction of how that organization is going to run. We also remember how it was under Ibadu, and we also can see how it is under Labode. So definitely who is heading EFCC is going to determine the pace And of course, that's going to be one of the first key appointments that the President Buhari's administration is to make. And of course, apart from maybe the reforms around EFCC, ICPC, and all of that, and the necessary appointments that needs to be made, a lot of reforms have been pushed out previously in terms of procurement process, in terms of deal process, and all of that. Have we seen anybody paying for the consequences of non-compliance with that? If you have those rules, you have those due process rules there, and we are talking about corruption, he just shared with us the statistics on corruption. You know, if you have those staggering statistics on corruption, and we've not seen anybody being penalized, facing the consequences of corruption, definitely it will encourage people to continue in that line. But if in the next 6 months, we are able to see 1 or 2 people, probably people close to President Buhari himself, you know, being made to be penalized for their roles in certain things, definitely everybody will sit up. You know, but in a situation where everybody just do it and nothing happens, then the game continues. You know.
All right. The report you gave us is actually dismal. The people that the president has to work with carry a heavy viral load of corruption. And then we also see that we have a history whereby politicians have their own way of fighting back when they're under pressure. And I think we should expect that measure of fighting back. How much leeway does our new president have to be able to meander through those people he has to work with? Are the same people that this statistic says are corrupt?
It doesn't need to. You know, the president has what I would call, he mentioned that we have the goodwill that has not been around for us in a long while. And I dare say he also has a lot of goodwill now. He will need to give some of the people that are with him some, what I would call the shock treatment. That will be the consequence of the tone at the top, I keep saying. If you have consequence to just some of the guys who have carried a viral load of corruption, begin to notice that, you know what, this guy is, just as he said, I am for no one, but I'm for everyone. You will begin to see measured steps away from him, as it were. And that could just be, just as you said, the politicians will react and they will respond. But let us also move a little bit away from this corruption issue, because I believe very strongly that the president will have something inside him that he will pull at the right time. If he decides to and wants to recalibrate this economy, because it needs and requires recalibration, everybody can tell that this economy is heading south, and if nothing is done, it's hitting the bottom, the bottom of the waters. He will need to make the appointments that will give us the confidence that, you know what, we got all parts covered. He will make the appointments that, as he mentioned, on the anti-graft agencies, to tell and send the signal and give them the requisite independence that is required in order to achieve what they want to achieve. You've been asking me the question about what role will transportation make in recalibrating the economy. Massive. But I want it to become a policy statement. Imagine what will happen if the railways are broken, and I'm not talking about window dressing. Imagine what will happen if infrastructural development is the agenda of the government. How will they want to do it? Are you going to do, is it private sector driven, or government will begin to spend its money? You don't have the money. So how are you going to source the money? If you're going to source the money, that means you're going to invite, private sector. If private sector comes in, they are not there, they're not for that Christmas. So what mode of commercialization are you going to be interested in? We want to hear those bites. We want to understand, are you a welfarist government? Are you a capitalist government? Are you a socialist government? Because these things will determine how and what you are going to invest your time, the kind of people you are going to invite on the board, and the kind of focus we're looking at as Nigerians.